Good afternoon. My name is Kelly Mace, and I'm with Smithers OASIS.
And I'm Loann Burke, and I'm Design Director for Smithers OASIS, and I'm also an event specialist with First the Florist in Dayton, Ohio.
Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to this edition of OASIS University. Today we're talking about Valentine's Day. It's coming up in a few weeks. So we're talking about Valentine's Day 2023, and you've got this. So I'm excited to be back here with Loann. We're tag teaming again.
I'm excited to
and
be
we're
here
live.
again.
So that's always fun. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about getting ready for Valentine's Day. So we're broken it up into several sections. We're going to first of all talk about production planning.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about production planning, and you probably have your recipes in place and your flowers are purchased. But if you don't, we've got some tips and just to kind of get you going for Valentine's Day, to get you all ready. So we're here for you.
So I work for a very large shop. And so when we're designing all our holiday specials, we typically like to have one or two designers that would do, say, one design, like maybe our Be Mine bouquet. We might have one designer that would do all of our Be Mine bouquets. And so it's much more productive to work in series. So instead of just designing one of the bouquets and then moving on to the next bouquet,
Right.
we're actually going to design them production style, just like we would do a large event.
Okay.
So if we're doing a large event, we would set up all of our containers. We might have 2 or even 3 designers.
Right.
But you can easily do production style design, a single designer. So that's what we've kind of set up here. We've got our trays all set up, and we're going to design, instead of one bouquet at a time, we're going to design 3 arrangements simultaneously.
Great. So I see you have the essentials, black or onyx bowls.
Right.
And these are great. These are square, they're plastic, and they're awesome because they can be reused, and they're great for these Valentine's Day, type designs.
And so this onyx color is perfect with the midnight foam.
Yeah.
So what I've done, each of these containers has a half a brick of midnight foam.
Right.
I've cut it in half, and then you'll notice I've placed it in the container on the diagonal. And the reason I did this was, one, to give it a little bit more creative flair, but it's also a friction fit. If I take a half a brick and I just place it in there, I would have to secure it in some way.
Right.
But if I turn it on the diagonal, it's actually a friction fit, pops right down in, and it's secure in the container. And then I've taken some of the remnants or scraps of the midnight foam, and I've just cut that into cubes, and I've filled in all around.
They're great. They're like little stones or like little nuggets, and they're awesome. And I think this will be more of a contemporary design.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to work on these 3 designs simultaneously. Okay. The midnight foam is part of it will be exposed by the end of the design.
Right.
So I'm going to use 3 Gerber daisies in each one. Right. And I'm going to go ahead and place those.
Right. The midnight foam is available in both standard and deluxe. So that's nice. So you can either use the standard or deluxe bricks. We also have the midnight available in rings, and we have them in mache items, spheres. So a lot of different options for using the midnight foam.
So you'll see I'm placing all of my Gerber daisies first. And since I would be the designer on this, you can pretty much guarantee they're all going to look very similar, if not as identical as we can get with the natural curves of the flowers that we're using. So I've got my Gerber daisies in place. And then I'm going to follow that with tulips. I have 2 tulips I'm going to use in each design. And we're just going to do 1.
Right.
I'll just use
so
this
you can
one.
see how quickly this is going too.
I'm going to establish the height in all of those tulips. So this design table that I'm working on right now is about the same size, maybe a little bit smaller than my design bench at the shop. So space is always at a premium when you're talking around Valentine's Day. So if you can set up 8 or 10 at a time, that's great. And if not, I can easily do 3 or 5 or sometimes stagger them on my table.
You usually don't have somebody standing right next to you too.
That's okay.
Yes.
So I am going to place in my roses, and I'm going to use these roses very short.
Okay.
Now, the reason I'm going to do this, we want to have a few designs in our back pocket that are going to take advantage of those broken heads of roses. So as we are processing our flowers, we're going to break some heads typically.
Right.
Or we can take advantage of shorter stemmed roses that typically don't have the price tag of a full size or a longer, like a 60 centimeter.
Right.
So we can do 40 centimeter roses and take advantage of that for designs like this.
Beautiful.
You want to go ahead and insert that?
Sure.
It's right over there.
Yep. Love it.
Okay.
All right.
So then I'm going to, each is going to get a stem of spray roses. Isn't that a gorgeous spray rose?
Absolutely gorgeous.
And these probably have 6-8 blooms per. And I'm going to base those around the left-hand side. So this lighter color is going to offset the white tulip and repeat that color. And you can see how quick it is just to pull these 3 designs together and put that one in. Sometimes I'll get a stem that's a little more abundant than another one, and I might take off another bloom just like you saw me do and share it with the other arrangement. So I'm just using this, sometimes using 2 stem or 2 blooms in 1 insertion, but I can easily cut these down. And then the last thing I'm going to do, all fairly even.
Yeah.
The last thing I'm going to do, we'll stick that in this one, is just add just a touch of greenery. By using the midnight foam, I don't have to cover everything. Right. And with this design style, I want to leave some of it exposed. So I have some seeded eucalyptus. I'm just going to add a couple little sprigs out each side of this design. And then I also have some bay, which I love the fragrance of bay. Now this design isn't for everybody, but I want to showcase that I can do something a little more contemporary. We all know we're going to sell that vase arrangement like the one Kelly has over here.
Yep.
We can sell that all day long for our younger customers, for our older customers, but we'll have some of our customers that are, you know, maybe have a more contemporary flair, and we want to have a few things in place so that they're going to appreciate that as well. Okay, so I'm just adding in just a little bit on each side of that.
Great. So this one could be ready to go out on an order, and the other one could be, you know, the other 2 can go in the cooler.
Right. And even when we're not doing production style design, let's say we get a very unique order. It's easy to just take that unique order, go ahead and create a second or even a third while you do it. 1 for the order, 1 for the cooler, or 1 for the order and 2 for the cooler. It's a great time-saving technique just to have that in place. So I think we're going to be about done. Maybe a little sprig of bay on each side and leave that midnight foam exposed. And so I probably don't have a timer on me on that one, but 3 arrangements and mostly identical-ish.
Yeah. Great.
But it's going to be consistent with what we've taken, we photographed, we've put on our website.
Yes, exactly. Love it. Great.
All right.
So some tips for production designing. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about non-traditional designs. So we talked a little bit about your standard design with roses, but we wanted to show you an arrangement that's maybe not traditional. It's your 12 roses, but it's designed in a different fashion. So maybe you tell us a little bit about this.
Sure. Now our traditional roses are going to be in your normal size vase. We use a C905 a lot. That regular vase, you're going to be able to sell that with baby's breath and greenery all day long, very traditional. But we do get a lot of requests for something that's a little bit different, and we want to showcase that we can do something a little bit different. So this is a more elevated design style. This is designed more parallel. So the stems are all as straight as I could get them given the curves of the individual stems and just staggered. I really love this ellipse vase for this design.
Eco Essentials. Yep.
So the Eco Essentials is very sustainable container. It's made with plant fibers. So that's wonderful. I filled it with, again, midnight foam. We're actually thinking about making the transition to 100% midnight foam at the shop. Now that the price point is the same, there's no reason not to use the midnight foam.
Absolutely.
And it is wonderful, easy to cover. So I've just inserted all of my stems, just a little bit of the seeded eucalyptus, and then a little bit of curly willow, just for some more of a dynamic line to go with the very static line of the roses.
It's beautiful. I think you'll agree. Beautiful. Yeah. So the next design that we're going to show is our tropical design.
So again, not everybody's going to want something that's very traditional. So for your more contemporary customers or someone who likes a little bit of the tropical, very easy design style. Now, this is that beautiful Nachman vase with it's a heavy vase, gorgeous vase, nice flare on the container. So instead of just filling it with greenery and then filling it with these anthurium and tulips, simplest design, 3 stems of greenery, 3 stems of anthurium, and 3 tulips.
It's beautiful.
And then what I've done is used this curly willow ball, this orb, like an armature. So I've used it like an armature and just put that right on top of my vase. You can see that. And then I've just designed those stems right through that armature. So it's going to hold them in place. I could almost, with the exception of the leaves, just pick it right out of the container.
Right.
And then to keep some of those flowers right where I want them, in position right where I want them, I've just taken a little bit of bind wire and bound them together. But this is the simplest of designs.
Yes.
And anytime you can use a grid, it's going to make your designing easier. A lot of times what we'll do is we'll actually tape a grid over the top of a container. But when it comes to Valentine's Day, that's not something you want to spend time doing. So we're going to show you, this is one grid technique, and then we'll show you in a couple other designs, just some really quick grid work so you can steer away from doing that taped grid on top of your container. New designers, that might be the easiest way to go, but Valentine's Day, again, time savings.
Time savings, for sure. Yes, that's a gorgeous design. Thank you. Thank you so much for this one.
So what I've also done too is added just a really tall piece of curly willow. So prices of everything are going up. So we've got our container costs, our fresh flower costs, everything is increasing. So in order to increase the perceived value of this arrangement, I've added some very tall curly willow, because adding some height is one way to increase the perceived value. We want to take advantage of that at the holidays.
Absolutely. Great. Love it. Yes. Good. Well, and I think one of the main topics that we wanted to get across today too was proper care and handling. This is one of Loann's passions, is, how do you care for the flowers, and how do you have them last the longest for your customers? So we're going to kind of go through real quickly. We have on our first 2 episodes of OASIS University, we have 2 dedicated proper care and handling seminars. So you can definitely take a look at those. And we're going to go quickly through some of these 5 steps to fresh. So this is through the Flora Life items here. So we're going to start here with our wonderful DCD.
So before I talk about the DCD, one of the main reasons why it is so important, in fact, I think it is the most important thing to consider at Valentine's Day, is maintaining proper care and handling. I know that's like yawn, yawn, snooze, snooze, but by doing this, by making sure that I follow all these steps, I can design earlier. So when we receive those flowers in a bucket in my cooler or in a vase in my cooler, there's no reason I can't design early. And I know that because of the steps that I've taken, all those flowers are going to hold up really well. So we're going to start with cleanliness. So DCD, what is DCD? DCD is a disinfectant, a cleaner, and a deodorizer.
Yes.
You are not going to use this full strength. You are going to dilute this according to this directions on the back, if you can read them, because they're very tiny. But we're going to dilute this and use this to clean our buckets, to clean our work surfaces, and to clean our tools. I'm actually going to mix this, dilute this, put it in a spray bottle, spray down my work surfaces and spray down my tools. But the most important thing is cleaning my buckets. One of the things I love about DCD, you do not have to rinse it. So for example, I might mix it properly, swish it in my bucket, take that bucket, pour it into the next bucket, turn the first bucket over to air dry. You can also you want to make sure you clean the underside of the buckets, especially if you're stacking. But the best thing about DCD is it leaves a residual to actually continue to keep bacteria counts low. Yes. We want to make sure there's nothing in those stems in our buckets that's going to create a breeding ground for bacteria that can clog that stem and that flower stem dies. So cleanliness, utmost importance.
Yes. So we'll trade. Okay. And on to Quick Dip.
So Quick Dip, what is Quick Dip? I like to think of Quick Dip as a stem sanitizer. What it really does is aid in hydration. So anytime you've got bacteria, like I mentioned, that would block the stem, that's going to prevent proper
Right.
hydration. And what Quick Dip does, sanitizes the stem. It's very quick. You're going to pour about 2 inches into a container, cut your flowers into the solution for about a second or two, and then directly into properly mixed flower food. That's going to make sure that stem is free flowing.
Right.
And that is a step you do not want to miss.
Right, absolutely. Quick Dip.
Okay.
Next is our flower food. This is Express.
So we've got clean everything. We've cut, we've quick dipped. We've cut, we've quick dipped. We're into
Yes.
our properly mixed flower food.
Yes.
This is Express.
Mhm.
So this is one of the many fantastic flower foods that you can use. But
Mhm.
one benefit of Express at the holidays is it is our no cut formula. No cut.
Right.
No cut.
No
Meaning you receive your bundle of roses dry packed. All you're going to do is quick dip them because you still want to sanitize the bottom of the stem,
Yep.
and then put them directly into properly mixed Express. No need to cut the stems. So a lot of people are like, this makes me nervous not to cut the stems. You can go ahead and
Right.
cut the stems with Express,
Yeah.
but you don't need to.
Right.
There are a few problem children
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
want to go ahead and do.
And test.
Anything that's
Yep.
fuzzy, like sunflowers, stock,
Mhm.
Gerber daisies, go ahead and give them a cut. You'll find that cutting with Express is even better.
Right.
And then any problem children that you normally might have an issue with, like hydrangea can be a little temperamental. Go ahead and give that a cut,
Right.
and then quick dip it and put it in the Express.
Yeah. And the time savings on this is
The time savings with
yeah.
the amount of flowers
Right.
that you are processing at Valentine's Day, or really any time of the year, but particularly at Valentine's Day, if you haven't given it a try, now is a great time to do that. And just think of all the time you'll save processing.
Absolutely. And then when you're done with your completed your arrangement, you'll want to finish, with a finishing touch or a crowning glory.
Mm-hmm. So these two are not the same.
They're not.
They're both finishing sprays, and you want to use a finishing spray. Both of these finishing sprays are going to serve to help your flowers last longer.
Right.
Crowning Glory, just to give you an idea, Crowning Glory is like a coating spray. So you can think of crown coats, and Finishing Touch helps to hydrate the flower, maintain really
Right.
vibrant color. And both of these products help the flowers last longer. I tend to use Finishing Touch on anything that's connected to
Right.
its water source. So anything in foam, anything in a vase, I tend to use Finishing Touch.
Right.
High heat situations,
Right.
or anything that's disconnected from its water source, Crown is great.
Maybe like a corsage or a boutonniere or something like that.
Corsage or
Right.
boutonniere. Those are wonderful. I would say pick one and definitely use
Yeah.
a finishing spray. Those are going to help your flowers last longer as well. The
Great.
last thing that you want to do is make sure your consumers are continuing that care that you started in your shop, and give them, maybe with every arrangement on the delivery tag, a packet of flower foods. You want to give them a packet of that
Absolutely.
of the Floor Life flower
Yes.
food, and then they can continue to mix that, add it to their arrangements.
Well,
That's
you
just
want
going to make
those-
sure.
It lasts as long as possible.
Right. Like you said, a lot of our Valentine's recipients
Yes.
or senders are first-time buyers,
Right.
and they want the best possible experience. We can help that by
Right.
maintaining all those steps to keep your flowers as fresh and long-lasting as possible.
Yes, absolutely. Alrighty, so we're going to continue talking about grids, and this next grid that we're going to do is using a hydrangea. So let me get this.
So we've got this. Oh my gosh.
So heavy.
This is
Yes.
another of the
Oh,
Nachman
good.
glass Bossa Nova
I'll scoot
vases.
that over your
We'll
way.
take this over here.
Yes.
So quick design, if I can create a grid, I can spend a lot of time greening. One really quick trick,
Mhm.
if you are smart enough to order pre-made greenery bundles, those are great to just cut and drop in.
Nice. Yeah.
Saves you a lot of time.
Yes.
So we'll use those at the holidays. But I want to show you, nature's grid is really the hydrangea. So the hydrangea is its own grid. Don't steer away from them. We're going to give you a couple tricks. I'm also going to do something a little bit different.
Mhm.
I have 3 Monstera leaves. I'm going to maybe just use 2. No, I'm going to use 3. I'm going to use 3.
And this is, again, this is not a traditional color palette that you would see with the blues and the purple, with the dark purples. And
Right.
it's a little bit different for Valentine's Day.
So traditionally, you're going to see red, pink, white all
Right.
day long. Lavender, of course, lavenders and
Right.
purples.
Yep.
Adding in those blues into the mix, we can help just create a little bit different palette. I'm
Mhm.
going to drop in just 3 hydrangea with my monstera leaves. And another reason I'm using the monstera leaves with
They're
more temperate
ginormous.
flowers, I want to make sure you see that.
Yes.
You see that glassware, because it is just a beautiful vase, and it's heavy duty, really nice crystal. And then I've got some aspidistra leaves I'm
Yeah.
going to add at the end. But I'm just going to start. You can see I've already got, this would be a beautiful arrangement,
Yeah.
maybe just some curly willow. And
Yep,
done.
Done.
But I'm not going to stop there.
Right. Right.
I'm going to add in some deep purple roses. That's this variety.
When we were talking about the red roses earlier, what is your favorite red rose?
So we're going to gravitate towards a freedom rose.
Mm-hmm.
The freedom rose is just like that quintessential
Yeah, it
classic
really is beautiful.
red rose.
Yep. Right here.
But at Valentine's Day, you'll find that some of the things that are your go-to,
Right.
they might be in such demand on the market that you might
Have to not. Yeah. You have to use a substitute.
have to explore some other options.
Right.
So I'm going to add some blue. I've got some great.
Right.
I've got some beautiful hybrid delphinium,
They're gorgeous.
and we're going to add these to the design. And that hydrangea is definitely my grid. So I'm going to just continue to add that really pretty blue color, get some nice display. How's that looking?
It's looking great.
I'll turn it around
looking
this
beautiful.
way. Okay. And then we're going to add some other elements to give us a little bit more height.
Again, you're just using that as your grid throughout. It's
I've got some tulips.
going pretty quickly.
Yes. Because I don't have to worry about, pre-greening.
Right.
With the exception of just those 3 simple insertions of that monstera leaf. I don't
Yeah.
have to worry about that at all. And one thing we want to keep in mind with these tulips, you might see I'm going to sink them deeper into the design, but one thing that the tulips are going to continue to do is stretch and grow. So I want to make sure did I just beat you in the head with that?
No, you did not. You're good.
I came close.
We're good.
Okay.
You're good.
So when we were at the wholesaler yesterday, we got to kind of have some fun and play in the cooler.
Yeah, you did.
And we found it reminds me of another filler, but I'm just going to create a light, airy design over the top of it. This is Lepidium.
Lepidium, yes. This was, we did not know this variety. And so we looked it up and our wholesaler confirmed. And it's just a very beautiful, airy
And
touch to your design.
Yeah. Right. I'm comfortable mixing those tropical foliages with a more temperate design. And this is going to be a lighter and airier. I'm going to add some eryngium, or that blue thistle, into the mix.
And this design can take you from Valentine's Day into spring, Mother's Day.
Right. And anytime you do more of a unique design, let's say maybe it's just for an order, go ahead and take a photo of it. You might end up putting it on your website for a seasonal holiday arrangement for another holiday.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got nice mix.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to add a little bit more flair by just putting in a few of these aspidistra leaves to surround, just to create more of a base in that design. These aspidistra leaves are going to hold up great. Okay, just a few more, and then we'll call this one done.
That's great. If you have any questions on any of the designs or anything that we've been working on throughout the program, just go ahead and drop them in the Q&A, and we'll try to get to those at the end of this session.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we're going to call that done. Now, if I wanted to, because I've got a very high-end vase, and I have a nice variety of flowers in here, one thing that I could do just to make this, again, have a greater perceived value would be to add that height to this.
Oh, right.
Because the other thing that has that increases perceived value is weight. And this is definitely a weighty vase. So it's a beautiful design. So again, just a few more pieces of curly willow and you'd be great.
Yes, I would say this vase is like an heirloom quality vase.
This is an heirloom quality vase.
It is gorgeous. I'm going to set this over here.
Okay.
Yes. Ugh. It is heavy.
And we'll get ready for a last design.
Yes. So this is a design, again, another grid technique that we're going to use. And this one is using the curly willow as your grid. So this is another of nature's grids for designing. So I learned that term in the last couple of days.
And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, taping that grid.
Right.
What you would do with like a clear tape is just tape that grid over the top of the container. But as we become more comfortable with design, we can learn how to just naturally cross our stems and create our own grid.
Right.
But definitely want to save time at the holiday and not do that. So I'm going to show you one easy way to create a grid.
Right.
I've got some really tall curly willow.
So in your opinion, Loann, with Valentine's Day being on a Tuesday, how does that work in our favor?
So Tuesday can be a little tricky.
Okay.
But Tuesday we would normally think, oh, we only have Monday to prep, but we actually have the entire week before. Like I said, flowers in a bucket in my cooler, or flowers in a vase in my cooler, or even in midnight floral foam in my cooler.
Right.
There's no reason I can't design way in advance.
Right.
We're getting our flowers in easily a week before the holiday, if not more.
Okay.
So take advantage of that lead up time.
Right.
So we're not maybe having to work on Sunday.
Right.
We may have a small crew in the shop on Sunday, but we want to avoid those hours of overtime that can be so costly and make our holidays a little less profitable. So yeah, I'm going to design early. And Tuesday is nice because everybody wants to show off how much they love each other by sending flowers to the workplace. So we actually have Monday and Tuesday both to do that. Right. Okay, so I'm going to start with my curly willow, and I'm just going to bend it in half. I'm going to shove it down in my vase. You're like, oh, interesting.
Okay.
Loann.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to do that with this piece as well. I'm going to bend it in half.
I'm going to kind of scoot out of your way for this one.
And then I can always trim off any of those heavy stems.
Right.
But you can see down inside, I've got this natural grid going. I may save this piece just to add a little bit more height to it when I'm done. Yeah. But I've got the natural grid, and you can get an idea. There, you can see that. So that has created its own grid down inside the vase. That's awesome. Which is in essence what I'm doing when I'm designing and I'm crisscrossing my stems.
Right, right.
So I'm going to start with this technique.
Oh, this is,
which I'm going to show you how I did this. So this has the size of a peony. So I'm going to run, well, I'll just show you how I did it. So with this carnation, let me show you how I did this. The calyx, I'm just going to split open. So I'm going to split that calyx. It's still going to have every petal attached to its water source, but by splitting that calyx, I can create a ruffly look. So I'm just
it gives the look of a peony or something much larger.
So it's kind of like peeling back a banana.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to take that calyx. I haven't done it on these. So I'm just going to peel that back, and then I'm going to fluff it open. And then I took a little bit of bind wire. You can see how nice and fluffy that is. We've done tests with these with the split calyx like that, and they hold up beautifully in design. So like I said, there's nothing that's disconnected from its water source. I'm just kind of peeling back that calyx. So I'm going to add these in first because this one actually has 4 together, and I want to make sure I can see where they're going in my vase. So I'm not going to green this one first. I'm cutting all 3 stems at once. I'm just going to put those down in.
So you had these already prepared. You had these all ready to go and had the bind wire all secured on.
But that's one thing that we can do
beforehand.
Is do that beforehand.
Yes.
And take advantage of, maybe we don't have large flowers, like a large-headed peony, and we want to create that look. We can do that. Another thing about this arrangement is this is not a traditional color palette.
No.
So On the market, again, the first things that are going to sell out are going to be those reds, the pinks, the whites. We know those are going to be the things that are going to be the shortest on the market.
Sure.
So we're going to take advantage of some of those other colors, the oranges, the yellows, even the peaches, and then combine them with those other flowers. Okay, so I'm going to take this one. And if you can see this, you can see that I have a grid already started, not only with the curly willow, but also with the stems of my peonies.
Right.
So I think I've got one more in here. I've got one more in here, and I'm going to keep it a little taller. Give it a fresh cut. Or if I've got express in that vase and the flowers are at the perfect height, I don't even need to give it a fresh cut. Okay.
Okay.
So I've got that established. Then I'm going to add in some of my beautiful spray roses. And again, this vase has a really wide opening. So that's another fantastic way to make it so it's not, you don't have to fill it with as much foliage or flowers if you can create that grid in advance. And you see when I insert the flowers, everything is staying in place.
Right.
I'm going to cut that one a little shorter.
Okay. Right.
You want to make sure your flowers go all the way to the bottom of the vase. And look at the stem on that spray rose. I'm going to take advantage of that. And I'm going to keep that nice and tall.
Keep it all together. Okay.
Then I'm going to add in some of my orange. These are miniature Gerber daisies. Just give them a fresh cut and pop them through the design. And then I'm going to repeat that color orange with another flower. So it definitely looks intentional.
Yeah.
I'm going to pop some of that just down deeper in the vase.
Yes, I love
See
it.
that?
Yep.
Okay, then I have some Babe spray roses. These are the orange Babe spray roses. Take advantage of the stem length on these as well. And disperse that orange.
Right.
Repeat that orange color.
Yeah.
All throughout the design. Okay.
Yeah. This
I'm
is
going to add a little bit more orange on this side.
Yeah, it's really coming together. It's beautiful.
And you can see the flowers just stay put in their place. I've got some hypericum and then some bupleurum. You know, I might not even need to add half the foliage that I pulled for this design.
Right.
So we'll add some bupleurum. That's going to give us a nice texture that just dances above the vase, much like that lepidium. And that's sort of what the lepidium reminded me of, was this bupleurum.
Yeah, I'm so glad we were able to pick that up yesterday.
And the bupleurum, what you might notice about this is it does have a hint of yellow. So in the top of the leaf slash bloom slash petal slash whatever it is, there's a hint of yellow. So I also want to repeat that yellow color. Add a little bit more to the sides just to give it nice flair. This is a really nice wide necked vase. And everything is really staying right where I put it.
Nature's grid.
Yes. So we're using those natural elements. And so we talked about just a normal mechanic and then decorative mechanics. So decorative grids. This is definitely decorative grid because you see that curly willow all the way through the bottom. I'm going to add in just another texture of peach by putting in a little hypericum. As I'm designing, you'll notice I'm pulling off any foliage that might fall below the flower, the water line, because any leaves, and I see I have a leaf right here. I'm going to reach in there and get that out. I don't want any leaves in the water. That's a breeding ground for bacteria. That bacteria is going to clog my stem. I do have a little insurance of keeping that water clear longer by making sure I use flower food in my water in my vase. And when I'm doing my foam designs, I want to soak my foam in water with properly mixed flower food.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we're gonna put one more hypericum over here. Now spin this around. Which way is the front? We'll call that a front, maybe.
Yes.
Ooh, or maybe this one.
Looks great on all sides.
I'm gonna add in a touch of Crest Media. And I know I have express flower food in here, so I'm gonna take advantage of every bit of stem length. And I'm not gonna recut these. That's another advantage of using express in your vases, is if you have a stem that's at that perfect cut or perfect stage or stem length, I know I don't have to cut it when I put it in here. Okay, so I'm just gonna add in a few pops of that Crest Media to repeat the yellow that's in my bupleurum.
Oh, so
Spin
pretty.
that around. Very natural and gardening.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna color it a little bit with some of my silver dollar eucalyptus. So I'm gonna cut this and use it as two separate insertions.
Right.
Strip off anything that's below the water line, and then just use that to collar. I'm just putting it right in the sides. Again, stripping off anything. These little pieces I'm gonna save for anything I'm designing in foam. So I'm gonna still keep those and use those for my foamed arrangements. There's no reason to throw those out.
Right.
Okay. We'll just add one more piece, maybe. What do you think?
I think it's gorgeous. And every time Loann comes in, she makes these amazing designs. So I can definitely see this sitting on on your table, and who would want to receive this for Valentine's Day or anytime?
And then I am just going to take that last piece of willow that I reserved, pop it right down through the center, just to create a little more perceived value. Hello. And so this might be more traditional garden style design.
Right.
But it's a non-traditional color palette.
It really is.
So we have a lot of requests. We'll have requests that say, don't use any red, don't use any pink.
Right.
I want something different. And so our more modern customers are going to request something like this. We're always going to have something like this in our cooler to show off that you don't necessarily have to keep with the red, pink, white color palette.
Right.
You can branch off into something like that.
Yes, absolutely. Love it. Love it. I want to make sure too to remind you that after we're done, we'll have a little quiz that you're free to take on front. You just go to our website, to the OASIS University, and go ahead and fill out the quiz, answer the questions, and you'll receive a certificate of attendance, and you'll get that. We'll get that sent right out to you, so you can frame all your certificates of attendance. So it's kind of nice to have in your shop, and it'll be personalized for you. So it works out great. Yes. So thank you again. Happy Valentine's Day to you all. We again appreciate your time.
Yes. Just remember Valentine's Day. You got this.
You've got this.